you have that family member or friend who says they are stuck in a relationship? To those who haven't experienced that stuck feeling, it seems foolish. To those who've been stuck, it seems very, very real. Here to help us get unstuck is our relationship therapist, April Braswell. April, welcome back to Smart Life. Good to have you in studio again. And you are the official unstucker today in all things relationship oriented. And we're glad to have you because I'll tell you what, this is something that can get a little touchy, can't it?
Very much so.
Because things are going along, you're cruising, it's all awesome for the first few months, and then all of a sudden, something's not right, and sometimes it's hard to put your finger on it.
Yeah.
What is it? What are the warning signs that you really are stuck?
Part of what's so difficult with being stuck in relationships is not only yourself, because of course both men and women were in that wonderful, the rose-tinted glow, we're in the halo effect that first month or so. They're, oh, they're so wonderful, they're so fabulous. And what's difficult is often our friends are starting to see things, or our family members who are starting to tell like, oh, I met this wonderful man, I met this wonderful woman, and they're seeing a bigger picture because they're not as close to it as we are. And so they're kind of thinking it, and yet typically aren't going to say something to us right away because they're smart enough not to.
Okay, so why is it though?
Thank goodness.
That I've been in a marriage for decades now, but there have been times where I've tried to subtly say to friends that, you know, I'm not feeling it. I mean, I don't bring it up, but if they ask, I'm kind of like, I'm not really feeling it. And so my question is, why do we want to believe that's not true? Because if someone's going to muster the guts to say it to you, you shouldn't kill the messenger. They have your best interest in mind. It takes a lot of guts to approach someone and go, I'm not really seeing you guys. You should listen, shouldn't you?
You should. At the same time, it really is difficult because the person who's involved in the relationship, I keep thinking like the business term, sunk costs. It is, we are invested in this relationship. Yes. And most of us have learned enough relationship skills that we're working on making the relationship work. But what a lot of people didn't do from the start in terms of who they're selecting was looking for, do we have aligned values? Do we have aligned lifestyles? Do we have aligned interests? Don't have to be the same, thank goodness no, that would be boring. But we're looking for that kind of real relationship factors versus, oh, I'm attracted to her, I'm attracted to him. Oh, he's so cute, he looks like Brad Pitt, he looks like Cary Grant. I know I have to like cover our different decades here, but we're usually working on attraction, and what curls our toes is what we're using for selecting a partner versus looking at what really matters. So that has to do with a great deal with why we get stuck in the wrong relationships.
Okay, but this is so tough, April, to discern because you do have ruts, but you also have growth periods.
Yes.
So it's very hard to distinguish, wait, is this something like our first challenge we need to work through to get better, or is this an official rut? How do you recognize the difference?
It's funny because I think of, so it's a little bit different for men and for women, because for men typically he's usually a little more invested in it, and he's looking at, is she looking for a real relationship? What are her skills here? And he's usually making some kind of an effort to make a fuss over her and really cherish her. Okay. So, like it's January. Valentine's Day is coming up. Guys, start doing now for, making the arrangements, getting a gift or things like that. However,
now.
Yes, now. I'm not kidding. Now.
You said now?
Now, both the gift, but actually this is about the make your reservations. Oh my goodness. But it's actually, so look for that both in terms of what she's asking for and then how she receives from you. Because I've heard from women, and this is where I'm like, honey, not only is he not the one, but you maybe aren't ready for a relationship, when she's hypercritical of everything he gives her. When I hear, oh, he gave me flowers and a beautiful piece of jewelry, or something I didn't really want, but that was very traditional for a special occasion, she's complaining. And I'm thinking, do you know how many women would be giving their eye teeth, for a husband like that? So if he's doing that, it's like, that's demonstrating his heart, that he's a generous person. So on his side, it's look for, how does she receive your gifts? And from her side, he's demonstrating he's a generous person. wonderful, receive them well.
And gifts come in a lot of forms. They come
very
in,
much so.
you know, not to go all love languages here, but they come in acts of service. They come in words. They come in terms of affection.
Yes.
And certainly sometimes in material things as well. So all of those things cumulatively, you're saying, are good gauges. How is it given? How is it received?
Yes.
And those are good questions to ask yourself while you're in a relationship.
Yes.
Let's shift over to friendships for just a moment.
Sure.
Because friendships are a little different. Some of the same dynamics do occur, but they're a little bit different because you aren't looking for someone that you have to be married to forever. But
Right.
I have just recently in my life, this is so pathetic, come to realize really good friendships versus friendships that are just kind of, they're there because
Right.
they've always been there, or because we have the same job and we see each other a lot, versus
Yes.
friends that I'm like, I am just stark raving mad in love with you as a friend.
Yes.
And it's really special. And I still have trouble, even with all my psychological background, quantifying what is it about this person that just makes me want to be with this friend all the time. Can you help us with that?
Usually with our friends, we've actually picked someone who is usually very complimentary to us. Even sort of more
Different.
so than, yes,
Yes.
different, not exactly opposites, but like a Myers-Briggs type sort of thing. They
Right.
usually have a smattering of,
pieces.
yes, a
Yes.
smattering of a few of the things that we have identical and a few that are in alignment with us because I'm the double extrovert. Can you imagine if all my friends were also extreme extroverts?
That's what we call a horn lock, as
Yes.
opposed to a puzzle piece.
Yes, it works.
Big difference.
It works well. Thank goodness. I didn't know how to shut my mouth, but it's those sort of things of where there's that which
That
matters.
means you and I can't really hang out.
It's okay. You know,
Well, we can do this.
Yes.
We can have coffee.
Exactly, briefly. But it's, you know, recognizing that of where, or also it's like, I have a really good friend, a man who is very extroverted as well. So we have a great friendship, but we know what our friendship is and what it's not, and when we're going to drive each other crazy and when we're not, you know, why we don't date. So look for where you've got the complementary qualities, but our really best friends really do have a heart, soul, spirit, essence kind of alignment with us. And I'm using semi-religious terms, but it's like it's our essence, it's our values where they are very aligned. And where they're not, God bless you, I may care about you, but if it's not there, then there's just not that depth.
Yeah, and
that
we
you're
need
looking
more
for.
words. Friends is just way too general, because friend can mean acquaintance, it can mean someone that you know,
Work
it can
buddy.
mean almost colleague, it can mean work buddy. But a real friend is that's where these qualities are that we're talking about.
Yes.
How do we know when, as we develop in our friendships, and how do we know that moment where we've gone through a struggle and we've become stronger for it? Because
Yes.
we're less tolerant with struggles with friends, I think, than we are with relationships, because we know that relationships are, in terms of like husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, we know that you're supposed to endure conflict. But friends, if it's going to grow, there has to come still that conflict point, because it is only in struggle then that we become better. So, but with friends, it seems like we're more sensitive to that.
What happens quite often with friends is that it's unless, you know, sort of a whole huge topic there is, if we went through that struggle together with each other, then we've more closely knit our friendship there. However, if one of the two of us went through a very significant struggle and the other didn't, or maybe, I mean, I don't know who doesn't have some struggles in their life going on. So like,
Sure.
my lesser, you know, struggles going on in theirs, what will often happen is you evolve to a different level, to a different plane, whatever you want to call it, and your friend is a lovely person still, but maybe didn't go through that same level of growth in as many areas, so you just start to grow apart. It's very different being adults in our 30s and 40s versus high school, college, sort of when you're in your 20s, and so much of what's bringing you together are shared experiences. You're doing the exact same things. Oh, we're in school together. We're in this together. And of course, you know, you move to different cities, you know, things kind of grow apart, but it's very different when we're more mature. We're really looking for people who are very much the same sort of life path that we are on right now.
Let me ask you something, because this is something that I tell my children all the time. I say, you've got to have cultural commonality. I'm not talking about race or ethnicity. I'm talking about your cultural values, the ways you were raised. They've got to be in sync with one another, because I've noticed my husband and I, the areas where we struggle are ways that our families of origin are different. And I think that shoots straight across the board, and I think that even goes into friendship. But what if you just really fall for someone, he really does excite you, and he is just from a completely different culture? Can it work?
It can, and I think quite often in terms of like the different family of origins of where sometimes, like I came from a fairly large family, we were not the Brady Bunch, we really had to work on things, but we were a fairly sizable family and who we had very close relationships. So men who kind of maybe had that, didn't have that, are craving that, and so, you know, in a way that's part of what they're attracted to with
part
us.
of the draw.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it can work, but then there has to be where when it's major family times, it's the holidays, there are different family occasions throughout the year, not just Christmas, but I think Easter, or like major family traditions that are from each of the different cultural backgrounds where it's a major family time, or where this is a major cultural time in my family and not in your family. You need to really sit down. Oh, yes.
Because no matter what, if there are those strong cultural differences,
yes,
it's gonna be something you're gonna work through more. Thanks,
and
April.
You have to raise it and talk about it.
Exactly. Thank you so much, April Braswell. Thank you so much for being on the show. Tell us where we can find you.
aprilbraswell.com online.
All right. Now that we've helped you out of that relationship rut, we're gonna get on over to your career. Up next, we discuss how to create your dream career and how you can find a way to become unstuck from that career rut. So you stay with us. We're here at Smart Life. Right back.